Hey, how's it going everyone? In this video I'm going to show you how to get all the collectibles in the Callisto Protocol. This will help with the Grim Reaper achievement or trophy. It'll also show you some of the secret achievements like the secret room and stuff like that. I hope the video helps you out. Let's get this going. Okay, so our first collectible on chapter 1, the only one in chapter 1, when you gain control of Jacob, just come over here to the left in this little room, open up the locker, the collectible's in there, it's called Jacob's Job. Like I said, that's the only one in this chapter. Moving on to chapter 2 then. So when you reach the surgery area with these machines going off in the middle, you have to grab a fuse in this area and take it upstairs and put it in the fuse box. But the collectible is right here just at the bottom of the stairs. That one's called Mahler's Appointment. So the third one we've got to get, also in chapter 2, when you return to the prison and you go into, well, past the cells where you met Elias, you'll come down here and you'll have to defeat some enemies that are just ahead of us. We walk through this next doorway. I quickly edited that out so you don't have to watch me fight them, but come over here, jump over this, and the collectible's on the right. It's in Elias's cell. This one's called Elias's Anticipation, and we've got one more in this chapter, and it's just after the cutscene when you go up the stairs and up the lift. When Ferris gets thrown through the window here, you'll gain control of Jacob again, and it's just on the table to the right when you gain control. Right here. And that's the last one in chapter 2. Alright, so on to chapter 3 then. When you're crawling through this vent, this is along your main storyline path. And you'll come to this area where you've got to, first of all, defeat a couple of enemies. But you'll have to get this one anyway, along with storyline progression. But because this one counts, I thought I'd include it. I will include all of them. So do what you want with these enemies. I snuck up on this one. I think I ended up editing out the second kill, but it's up to you if you want to defeat him or not. But when you approach this door, it will tell you your access is denied. Elias says, look around for some guards. So if you come over here, you can find the collectible right here. Like I said, you need to get this one anyway to continue with the story, but there it is.
What a mess.
Do what you gotta do in here. This place, there's a way of changing you.
Right. That one's Sergeant Eric Jane. It's called Locked Door. Alright, next up we've got the one that's in the laundry. Continuing from where we got that last collectible, you'll come through this door. You can unlock it now. And you'll reach an area where you can either go left or right. We're going to have to go down here to reach it. Let's keep pushing forward. And there's an enemy here on the floor, so deal with him however you want. Don't let him jump you though. Once you've dealt with him, you can either go through these two doors just ahead of you. So there's one on the left and one on the right. We want to go through the one that's on our right if you're approaching from the same direction. So come down here. You're going to have to go all the way around. And in the back is the collectible. This one's called Laundry. So all the way around here. Right in this room. Just in the middle of the room. Easy. Alright, so next up we've got the secret room. You're going to need to get this one to get an achievement or a trophy later in the game. And I think let me have a look what the achievement's called actually. Slip in my mind for the moment. Let's have a look. It is called... I think it's the commonality. I think that's the achievement. It's one of the couple of secret ones in the game. Yeah, we're coming all the way down here though. We need to open up this door. Through here. And we can go into this vent. And follow it all the way through, or speed this up because it's kind of just pretty linear. Can't take any turns or anything, just follow the vent all the way through. Keep going, kind of a long vent crawl to be honest. Right. You don't really have many different directions when you get to go when you get down here, so Just follow where I'm going, I guess, but you should find your way if you get to this point. Follow it all the way around, all the way down here. Pretty much just following the lights down the hole. And this is the way we want to go. You can see the room in the distance. To the left there, where you might have saw that ladder, that's the way back up. But the collectible is just in here. There's 2 of these secret rooms to get, and pretty sure finding them both gives you an achievement. That's the achievement I mentioned. Sorted. Alright, so next up we've got the Medlab Outbreak. This is along the main story path again. You'll come to a point where you open up this door and you end up in this sort of Medlab. And you've got these misty windows. The collectible is just in front of one of the windows. Still in chapter 3 then. That's collectible number 8. So our next one again is behind a door that you have to go through to continue with the story. If you've beaten the game once, you'll remember this room more than likely. A lot of these are kind of just on the normal storyline path. Kind of difficult to miss. Like, you could just walk over them and not notice that you can grab them. This one's called Hanged Guard.
You made it.
Right there.
I'm going to open up the maintenance elevator. I'll get you up here, yeah?
Sorted. Moving on then. We've got number 10, which is called Kerry Brown. This is in the area where you first encounter those things that pop out of the pods and grab you. Just after you fall down in the elevator and have to jam the brakes. Kind of a memorable area. You do have a fight in here, and you can see that big fan. You have to pass through here to get a fuse and whatnot. The collectible's right there. Watch out for this enemy. Yeah, the collectible's just there on the floor. Sorted. Like I said, that's just after you come down the elevator where you have to jam the pipe in the brakes, in case there's any confusion. So when you're coming across the gondola here and you've got these enemies ahead of you, when you come through this area, on your left there's sort of a platform you can jump up. That's where you have to go and put the fuses. You'll see me jump up there in a second. Yeah, it's just here. It's literally just left of the door as you enter. And you have to come up here to put the fuses in. Again, you're going to have to come here. It's kind of a hard one to miss unless you go up from the other side. But it's right next to one of the fuse boxes. Right. It's number 11 then. Last one for chapter 3, which is Dani's bio. So when you hit this cutscene and Dani throws you into the cell.
Elias, are you sure this is the right one? Get me out of here!
What are you doing here?
What the hell is going on? Did you know?
Let's go ahead and skip this.
Is this who we're looking at?
And when you gain control of Jacob again, just turn around and the collectible's right there on the table.
I thought you knew everything about this.
Sorted. Alright, so on to chapter 4 then. This one's called Corruptors. This is after you've activated a couple of valves in the game. You'll have to crawl through this pipe and you'll end up in this area. You'll get a little hologram of Elias here. And the collectible is just on top of this platform that you have to climb up on this box to get to. There's a little chest here as well. I think I opened that first. Yeah. But the collectible's just behind you, right there. Sorted. Right, number 14 then. This one's called Bruno Vorenus. Sometimes you don't get recordings and it's just like somebody's bio. So crawl through the vent right next to where we just picked up that last collectible. Keep following it through. All the way around. Kind of a shorter crawl this time. Alright. Yeah, I could have come through here previously and tried to just get rid of enemies and stuff. But I kind of wanted to leave the enemies in just so it made it a little bit clearer as to where they were. So in this room you've got to grab 2 fuses and put them in the boxes. The collectible is just at the back next to one of the fuses. You might want to grab the collectible first, because if you grab the fuses and then go towards one of the boxes, you'll get jumped by enemies. But if you come and grab the collectible first, you won't get jumped by enemies. So grab that first. Sorted. Alright, so this one's called Cocoons, and when you're coming to the area where you're going into water control, you can walk into that area where the water control is, but if you keep going, you'll end up here. So there we go. Come through here. Again, this isn't directly on the storyline path, but yeah, just run past the room you're supposed to go into and come into this one. You'll know it's there because you have to cut the door open. If there's any confusion about this one, just maybe watch the next one and it will let you know if you've gone too far. You can always backtrack to this one if you get to the next one and you couldn't find this one or whatever. But yeah, we're going to grab this gate fuse, come round here, pop the gate fuse in. Hopefully it's easy enough to follow them. And then come into this room. A couple of lockers here to open. Little bits of loot. And come through here and open up the door. You kind of have to wait for the airlock to do its thing. Although it has finished now, I'm just being greedy trying to get loot. Come in. Watch out for the worms and stuff in this room. And
What was going on here?
a collectible is in one of the stalls in this area, right there. Sorted. Easy. Alright, next one then is when we get to the area where we get introduced to the enemies that can mutate. Pretty sure you have to grab this one, it's on the guard. So yeah, if you're wondering about that last one, when you grab this collectible, you have to go into a room and use this code. That was the door I ran past a minute ago to get to the other door. Alright, grab that.
Got it.
That's number 16. Moving on then to number 17. Alright, this one still on chapter 4. So when you reach the tram station and you can go left or right, you have to go both ways to get the collectible. But this one is kind of along the storyline path. You have to go and get the code off this guard to continue. But make sure you check both sides because there's one on the right and one on the left. So I like to stand here and deal with these enemies. There's 3 enemies that will come at you just to show you where they are. But yeah, once you've dealt with them, keep going. Don't think there's any more enemies until you get up these next set of stairs up here. So up we go. You're gonna have this guy. Deal with him. Head underneath the crawl space. Oh, looks like I wanted to loot. Alright, through here. These are taken from a playthrough I did, so I was doing a little bit of looting. So all the way through, you're going to have another enemy in this area, which is one of these invisible guys. Deal with him. Move on all the way to the bottom of this area. There shouldn't be any more enemies you've got to fight before you get this next collectible. Don't go that way. There's a ton of worms and stuff in that room, so be careful going in there. Yeah, that is sort of like a little side area right to the end of this area, and you can climb up into the vent. And this is, like I said, where you need to go for story progression anyway. I know it's a bit tedious me looking around, but I figured some people might get a bit confused as to where they are, so if I show as much of what's around me as possible, it might help you out to know where you're going. Alright, so once you drop down here, the collectible is just at your feet. There we go. And now that you got that, come out of here and go to your right to the opposite side. That's this way. And you won't have any enemies initially in this area, but you'll have some on the way back. So be ready for those guys, but I won't show those in the video because we get the collectible before we head back. So head this way. Squeeze through here. And grab the security code, which is right there. Sorted. Alright then, last one in this area. This is when you leave the tram station and you head into utility. You've got 2 ways you can go here. You can either go down the spot that was just to my right there and go that way, but that's not the way to the collectible. So this is where you'll be when you enter. You don't want to go down there and down this pipe. So make sure you don't go down there yet. And yeah, let's go and get that collectible. Alright, so back at the door. We want to go to the left here. Sweet. Alright, so you're going to have a few enemies that spawn up in this area. Deal with them. They won't spawn in until you jump over the little vault position that's in front of me. Right there. Kind of being cautious because I know they show up. To hop over here. The enemies will spawn in. Deal with them. And then at the end is where you can find your collectible. There it is. Evacuation. Sweet. Alright, so next chapter, chapter 5. This one's called Terraforming. And when you reach this area where you open the gate, you'll run past a room that's labeled C2. That's the way you need to go for story progression, but we're not going to go that way. We're going to run past that. And over to the back is where you can find the collectible in one of these rooms. Right there. Sorted. Okay, so our next one is in the area where the guy is asking you to find something to pry open the door, and there's loads of the explosive canisters on the floor. Enemies will be popping out of the snow here, so be careful. If you're in this area and enemies start bursting through doors, just make sure you don't go through any of the doors that are in that room, and you'll be good to get this collectible. You don't want to progress through this area. You want to make sure you can get the collectible before you leave, and it's in the room in the back corner, the farthest of where you enter to get in here. Yeah, this is the area where you fight all the invisible guys and also the normal enemies that are jumping out of the snow. But this is the room that the collectible's in. This isn't the one that you have to go through for story progression. So make sure you get this before you leave this area. Okay, next one is called Combustors. Again in chapter 5. So I'm pretty sure this is coming close to the part where you meet the explosive enemies. I'm pretty sure. When you crawl through there, head to your left and the collectible's right there. You do have to go through that crawl for story progression.
You'll need it. Those things are everywhere.
Alright, so
Name's Jacob, by the way.
when you meet up with Dani and she gives you the riot gun, you're gonna have to go up these stairs. So head up. And you're gonna have to go and mess with the control panel. And on the left side of this room is the collectible. I think it's on the table. No, it's right here on the body on the floor. There we go. Close the gate. Cool. Okay, so again, this one is connected to storyline progression. It's the body that's jammed into the turbine in this room. So just go ahead and get it off him. You're gonna have to get that one. Pretty straightforward. Alright. So, still in chapter 5. This one is Max's Concern. This is where you return to the ship with Dani. She'll run off ahead in the ship. And this is the chair that Max was in when we were here last. So take the second left into the second room and you can get Max's Concern. Alright, so just after that you'll reach this area with Dani.
I thought so. Control room's just up ahead. Get ready.
Once you're here, squeeze through the door with Dani, and over on the right is this sort of vehicle with tank treads, and it's in there on a body. Sorted.
I'll get the elevator.
Alright, so a little bit after that, you'll get to an area where there's all these broken down robots, and Dani will tell you to take a look around.
They're killing everyone.
My guess is someone's trying to cover up what's happening here.
And the collectible is just in the back corner on this box.
Look around. See if you can find anything.
There we go. So, on to chapter 6 then. For this one, you're going to be heading along the storyline path, and it's when you first see one of the audio-sensitive enemies. You'll go through that crack in the wall, but the collectible is just on the right on this table.
Gotta stay quiet.
Next one in this area. Just when you go through this crawl space and get the jump scare. When you gain control of Jacob, you'll have a couple of ledges to jump up. Up here. I do try to stay quiet during these areas, but that's up to you if you want to go faster. I could have killed all the enemies and come back and tried to just run through it, but I wanted to include the enemies so it was more clear as to where you got to go. So in here there's going to be a ton of enemies. Watch out for the enemy that jumps out of the pod there. Also, all of these guys. Pretty sure I had to leave this fight in. It's kind of frustrating when you're trying to grab an enemy and you end up grabbing everything else but the enemy, but it happens. I was trying to grab this tank and it just would not let me. Alright, so once you've dealt with all of these guys, the collectible is in that room with a flashing light you can see ahead of me. Pretty sure I went and looted these bodies, or at least this one. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear as to where I was going so I didn't edit any of this out. Yeah, so up these stairs to our right, and then on the left is where the collectible is. Yeah, down there. Alright, so number 30 then. This is a field log number 3. So when you grab the keycard from the machinery that you ride at the end of this level, you'll have to come back this way and open that door. I'm sure if you've beaten the story, you know what I'm talking about. You got 2 ways to go here. Left is the way the story progresses, and right is the way where the collectible is, so make sure you come down here and don't miss this one. It's on a body just at the end of this area. Sorted. Alright, so this is the second secret room. When you reach this area, you'll have to climb up this ladder and you'll notice the fan as well. Straight ahead of you is an area you can squeeze through. Doesn't kind of look like you can at first glance, but that's the way we've got to go for story progression, the power reactor. But just go straight ahead through this gap in the wall. When you come through here, there's a bunch of enemies in the wall and stuff, so just watch out. Make sure you don't make too much noise or you'll alert them. And we don't want that. Yeah, when you come through here, it really doesn't look like you can squeeze through these areas. I think I found this one by mistake on my first playthrough, but I'm pretty sure to get the achievement you get for getting here, you have to go to both of the secret rooms that we've shown, so... Or at least that's what I've heard. I might be wrong, I don't know. So keep going down. Again, there's enemies in the wall here, so if you run, you'll probably wake them up. Just walking like this, I don't think you even have to crouch. Just walking will mean that they don't attack you, or at least they didn't for me, so... Maybe I just got lucky or something. Alright, let's keep going. We're nearly there. Yeah, I don't know why this guy didn't wake up. All the other enemies of this type, if you walk past them, they wake up, but this one didn't. I don't know why, maybe it glitched or something. This is being done on the most recent patch at the time of the video being posted, so... Alright, so... That's the way out there, those stairs, but this is where we want to go, into this room. You'll see the door marked with this sort of crown-looking emblem, upside-down crown, I guess, or something. So when you come through here, look out for the pod enemy that grabs you when you walk in. You'll need to shoot it, or you can just take the grab if you don't care. It's right there in the middle. I was worried that that might wake up the other enemies, but it didn't. You've got a few pickups in this area, but the collectible is on the table in the corner over here. Pretty much the same place where the other one was in the other secret room. Alright, so the last one in chapter 6 you will get when you beat the first encounter with the two-headed guy. And when you finish riding the machinery, you'll come this way, and the collectible is just on the floor. This is just before you finish this chapter, so make sure you don't miss this one. Going through that door that's ahead of you means the chapter ends, so make sure you get that one. Again, it's just after you fight the two-head.
Where are you?
When you start chapter 7,
Service tunnel.
I'm on
the first one is pretty much in front of you.
You're almost to the colony.
Alright, so we've got to go this way. To the right is where the story progresses, but here's the collectible just in the middle of the floor. Grab that one, and then we've got to head this way to progress with the story. This is pretty much from where we picked up that last collectible. This is the second minor log. Okay. Let's hop up here. Keep going. You'll have Dani talk about where to meet you.
See that light tower? Meet me there.
Light tower.
Alright.
Got it.
So just to your left is an area with a ladder that I think you've got to go down, but just on the shelf next to that is the collectible. Alright, so a little bit after that you'll reach this area where you have to fight some of the audio sensitive enemies, and you'll reach this section where you've got to go up this ladder with the label Midtown next to it. When you come up here there's an enemy standing at the top of the ladder, so watch out for that. And get rid of him. Our collectible is to the right of the ladder as you're climbing up in it, or to the left of the way we're facing. It's basically in that room, but there's an enemy in there. There's also another enemy behind me that you might have just saw. But if you crouch around like this, they won't wake up, so feel free to sneak about. This guy is standing on top of the collectible pretty much, so get rid of him however you see fit. And grab your collectible. Sorted. Alright, so in a little bit after that you'll be heading up this ladder, oh sorry, this elevator.
Where's she?
The collectible's right outside the elevator, just on the floor. Right there. Easy. Called the mole. Right, next one. When you head up this set of stairs, you'll get this guy run across in front of you, and you can see these signs that sort of give you direction. If we go to the right into this room, there's an enemy on your right, so be careful. Deal with him. Once you've dealt with him, the collectible is just on the floor right next to there. Literally in that room we were standing in. Sorted. Alright, so this one's called the Minor Log 4. And after you've fought all the enemies here and you put the fuse in this door, again this is along the main storyline area, you can find the collectible just on the floor in front of the shop on this body. Easy. Alright, so a little bit later in the chapter, you'll find yourself in this area where you're in a cutscene with Dani. When you gain control, come forward, go right. Collectible's just there. Last one on chapter 7. So on to chapter 8 then. Only a few to get on this chapter. Just after you fight the two-headed enemy to get this fuse and open this up, you'll find yourself in this area. Come through here, and if you go left, you'll see the hologram of the warden. Keep going. Watch out for this enemy that's at the end. He goes through that vent and comes out the vent next to you if you stand in here. The collectible's to my left right now on this table. Deal with this enemy. And the collectible's right there. So a little bit further along, you'll come to this area where you have to rip the vent open. This is when you're in the medical center. Keep going, and you'll drop through into another area.
Dani's condition is worsening. You must go faster.
Just hang on. I'm coming.
Right. So when you drop out of this area, you have to fight one of those invisible guys. Be careful of him. He's just to your left, and I think he cloaks up so you can't see him. Just be ready to grab him or shoot him. There go. Sorted. And our collectible is up this set of stairs at the back of this area right here. You've also got a battery here if you want it. Oh no, that's the fuse. Watch out for that guy as well, apparently. He came out of nowhere, mate. Alright. So up the stairs is where the collectible is, just on a table at the top. You can't run through that area, it's kind of frustrating. Alright, so number 42 then, when you come through here and the guns are pointing at you, and they get deactivated by the doctor, head through that door and the collectible is just on your right. When you come through here. Right there. I got my achievement right there, but I guess it counts how many you've collected in the past. Last one then is right at the end of the game. When you reach this area, you've got all these sort of exhibits around you. The collectible is on the table at the back. Right here. Sorted. Alright, so that's all of them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope the videos helped you out. If you need help with other collectible guides, you might want to sub to the channel, because I make them quite regularly. Thank you all very much for watching. Have yourself a great day. And until next time, take it easy.